Welcome everyone to our Saturday evening Nianfo sharing circle. So again, we are bringing back the sharing circle because some people, they want to have the space to share the Nianfo experience and other things. And I thought I might also share some rebirth cases from a book that I'm currently starting off. It's called A Record of Sages in the Pure Land. Well, I'll talk about this book a little bit more in a very short time. So we will first talk about the rebirth case, and then after that we may open the floor for some sharing and discussion if we have some time left. I trust we'll have some time left. Okay, great. So my intention is to share a rebirth case weekly from this book, A Record of Sages in the Pure Land. In Chinese, it's called 净土圣贤录. And today I want to share the rebirth case of Monk Chang-ling. So before we do that, maybe I'll give a bit of background of what's this book. I think some Pure Land practitioners might have heard of it, but Pure Land practitioners in China, everybody knows. If you're a Pure Land practitioner, you go to a temple, etc., it's most likely that you have heard of this book called A Record of Sages in the Pure Land. For Western Pure Land practitioners, as in people from the West, not Western Pure Land, but like, yeah, people outside of China, they may not be so familiar with this book, but they have heard there is actually an Asian book that have recorded many rebirth cases from the ancient time to recent days. So it is this book, 净土圣贤录 in Chinese, or in English, it's called A Record of Sages in the Pure Land. So this book recorded nearly 900 rebirth cases from ancient time in China to the time of Republic of China. So Republic of China, it's a period in Chinese history. It's about 1912 to 1949. Why only up to that time? So this book initially was compiled by Upasaka lay Buddhist Peng Xi-su of the Qing dynasty. The Qing dynasty, a very ancient time, whose uncle, Peng Xi-su's uncle, was called Peng Ji-qing. So Peng Ji-qing was a very famous lay Buddhist at that time. So when we say Upasaka, we mean lay Buddhist, male lay Buddhist. So he was the Upasaka Bodhisattva in the Qing dynasty, and he always had the thought of wanting to compile all the rebirth cases from the ancient time until his time. And then his nephew was also very into the Dharma, and his nephew said, okay, let's do it, let me do this. And remember at that time in the Qing dynasty, there was no email, no nothing, no telephone, no fax, no those communication tools. It's actually very difficult. If someone seeks rebirth, many people don't know. Maybe even the town nearby, they don't know about it at that time due to the lack of the convenience in communication, unlike nowadays. If someone seeks rebirth, one person takes a video and then uploads to the internet, and a lot of people can know about that. So from the Qing dynasty, for them to actually do this is not easy. And then, but still, they managed to record about 500 rebirth cases at that time. So all these rebirth cases are really with solid evidence, with lots of witnesses, really well known, or otherwise they may not be able to know, right? And they also from the sutras and also from other times where people recorded some rebirth cases. So they managed to compile about 500 rebirth cases in the Qing dynasty. And in the later Qing dynasty, there was also someone else who added on more 100 plus rebirth cases, which make it about 600, maybe nearly 700 rebirth cases. And then to the time of Master Yin Guang, we all know Master Yin Guang is the 13th patriarch of Chinese Pure Land Buddhism. So Master Yin Guang was also in the time of Republic China. So when I say Republic of China, it's different from the time where I am currently in, it's called People's Republic of China. The Republic of China is the period from 1912 to 1949. And that was also where Master Yin Guan was living in China. And all the money he got from all his disciples, followers, he used to set up this foundation for printing sutras, for really spreading the Pure Land Dharma, including to also compile more rebirth cases. And then later they added on more 200 plus rebirth cases, and to make this a total 900 rebirth cases, called a record of sages in the Pure Land. And of course, there are many other missing rebirth cases that are not recorded, particularly nowadays. Nowadays, as you have seen from my channel, I have also uploaded some recent rebirth cases in the present time, like not from the ancient time, but really in the now. A lot of people in China particularly sought rebirth to the Pure Land, and many people knew that, and then they took videos, they wrote things on the internet, etc. So nowadays we have even more rebirth cases, really a lot of them. I hope I'll have time. I need to definitely make time for compile all the rebirth cases that I have heard, I have known, including in our temples as well. Master Renshan, my teacher's mother's mother, his grandmother also sought rebirth, and also the grandfather, and also Master Renshan's father. So a lot of rebirth cases we have heard, particularly if you are staying in a Pure Land temple. So what we're going to do in the future, hopefully in the near future, is that we want to translate all these rebirth cases into English and add on more recent rebirth cases, and to make it an even more complete record of sages in the Pure Land. But of course, it's not going to be very complete, because there are just so many people who sought rebirth, not only people and animals, or even ghost beings that sought rebirth that we do not know of, or they were not recorded. So in this book, it recorded many rebirth cases, include monks, nuns, lay Buddhists, men, women, and animals. There were some parrots. I saw quite a few rebirth cases of parrots, which I'll also share later. So it's a really valuable book for Pure Land practitioners to study, to read. We say why we should believe in Amitabha Buddha, why we should believe in the Pure Land. And I keep saying, because Buddha says so. Buddha is a completely enlightened being. Buddha would not lie. But still, people these days, they have a lot of doubt. It's maybe not enough for a lot of people if you just say, oh, because the Buddha says so. They need to see solid evidence of true rebirth cases. Now, what is so good about Buddhism is that you can actually verify whether the Buddha's words are true or not. Now, Buddha did not say some maybe external God that creates everything, and then there's no way to maybe really verify this. But with Buddha Dharma, and that's why I keep saying the essence of Buddhism is not a religion. It's not like a man-made religion. It may be defined so in the world, but we really need to redefine Buddhism. It's really a practice, a path of awakening that help us transcend the cycle of birth and death, and to help us liberate from all sufferings in life. And what's so good about this is that it's available to all. It can be practiced by all the people from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds. And how do you know whether the practice actually works? You can try it, you practice, and then you see whether it's true. And then for a lot of us Pure Land practitioners, maybe for some Pure Land practitioners, they may have doubt even. They may have doubt about Amitabha Buddha, about the Pure Land, because they have not sought rebirth yet. We have not sought rebirth yet. So we may be like, oh, I haven't seen Amitabha Buddha. I haven't seen the Pure Land yet. But don't worry, there are a lot of people before us who have done this for us. They have already performed their rebirth. And then by studying all these rebirth cases, it can also help us deepen our faith in Amitabha Buddha, in the Pure Land Dharma. And Master Yin Guang actually wrote a really wonderful foreword for this book, which I may translate later. So I didn't do that this time. And what he said, there were definitely more missing rebirth cases that were not recorded. And it could be in the amounts that we're talking about, hundreds of thousands of millions or even billions. He really said that in a book. And then when I thought, oh, wow, really billions? But then later I thought, it's totally possible because there are also many beings from other realms that we could not see, right? The animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, etc. There were also in these books ghost beings, like animals, ghost beings that sought rebirth to the Pure Land. So we should really have faith in the Buddha Dharma, in Amitabha Buddha, in the 48 great vows of Amitabha Buddha, in the Pure Land Sutras, in the Buddha's words. And really, Buddha has no incentive to lie to us. So my intention is to really share these rebirth cases weekly, maybe one per week, to really help us enhance our faith, vow, and practice. So hopefully when we see these rebirth cases, not only it help us to really deepen our faith, our belief, and our vow towards seeking rebirth to the Pure Land, but also we want to be maybe more diligent in our Nianfo practice as well. So all this, PowerPoint, and then I'll have also a PDF file about the story, the entire story, we'll all upload to our Pure Land Drive, Google Drive, Pure Land Drive, for people to download, to translate, to share. So people can have just free access to all these materials. And hopefully more people will be able to benefit from these rebirth cases. Okay, so let's look at the rebirth case of Monk Chang-ling from the Republic of China. In Chinese, 民国长龄法师. So this is from volume 2, page 603. So in this version, there are also different versions, editing versions of this book. The version I'm using, it has 4 books, like 4 thick books with all these 900 rebirth cases. So I'm picking from the one that Master Renshan just talked about last week. So Master Renshan is also guiding us in studying this rebirth cases every week. So I thought, okay, whatever my teacher said, I'll just share with all of you. And it's really, I think it's a good time to share this case because recently I have got some messages from some people and also someone who came to our temple, very interesting. She kept saying, oh yeah, I believe in Amitabha Buddha, I believe in the Pure Land, I really want to go, but I don't have faith in myself. I remember faith, vow, and practice. Faith is not only to believe in Amitabha Buddha, to believe in the Pure Land, but also you need to believe in yourself that by following what the Buddha told us, we can actually seek rebirth. So she lacked of this self-belief. She just kept thinking she had done so many evil things in her life. She thought, there's no way Amitabha Buddha will accept me. For some reason, she just had this vicious cycle of really maybe a negative thinking a little bit about herself. And then when I asked, what kind of evil things you have done, it seemed like it was really, nothing. It's definitely not the 5 gravest offenses and the really worst evil deeds that we could think of. She seemed to be, quite a good person in her life, at least in this present life. So maybe it could be a karma from past life that she kept carrying this thought with her. She kept thinking that she was not good enough for the Pure Land. She was not good enough. Amitabha Buddha would not receive her to the Pure Land. So she came to our temple, and the next evening, Master Renshan shared this rebirth case, and it really helped her to deepen her faith in herself as well. So it's important that not only we believe in Amitabha Buddha in the Pure Land, we also need to believe in ourselves. By Nianfo with faith and vow, we can go to Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. Now, not believing in yourself, it's also reflects a little bit that you have not really believed in the Buddha's words, because Buddha already told us, remember the 18th vow, even the 10 recitations at the time of death, we can go to the Pure Land. So there's really no reason for us to doubt ourselves, to doubt Amitabha Buddha's compassion that maybe he would not receive us, right? Amitabha Buddha really has infinite compassion. Remember, we talk about even for those who commit worst possible deeds, unimaginable evil deeds, if they're willing to repent and then willing to Nianfo and vow to seek rebirth, they can also do so. And this case proves that on the 21st vow of the 48 great vows we have studied of. Okay, so let's read out this case together. So Chang-ling was a native of Zhenhai, Zhejiang province. So Zhejiang province is in southeast of China. It's like really the richest province in China. Our temple is also in Zhejiang province. Zhejiang province has the most number of Buddhist temples. Shanghai is also in Zhejiang province, but Shanghai is not sort of considered as belong to any province. It's kind of like an independent city. Okay, so a bit of a geography. So Chang-ling was a native of Zhenhai, Zhejiang province. At a temple in Maoshan, he became a monk when he became middle-aged. Apologize for the typo here. When he turned middle age, he became a monk. He was ordained in Putuo Puji temple. Okay, Putuo mountain is a very, very famous Bodhimanda temple in China. It's the Bodhimanda of Guanyin, Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. So the 4 most famous Buddhist temples in China, the most famous definitely has to be Putuo mountain, and then there's Wutai mountain for Manjusri. There is Emei mountain in Sichuan for Samadabhadra, and then Jiuhua mountain in Anhui province for Siddhagarbha Bodhisattva. So the 4 great Bodhisattva in Mahayana Buddhism in China, they all have their Bodhimanda. Bodhimanda means a place where people can practice or cultivate, or temple. And Putuo mountain is the Bodhimanda of Guanyin. And Puji temple is also a very famous temple situated in Putuo mountain. So in Putuo mountain, there are many temples, and Puji temple is one of the famous ones. So all these are very detailed, which means it's definitely true. And people had saw this, has seen this, it's recorded, very detailed with the name, where he came from, etc. All these rebirth cases that we have seen from the book, always very detailed background information. So at first he had his heart on the way, which means he became a monk. For someone who had the mind, the heart to want to become a monk, it shows his determination, and he wanted to practice the Dharma. He has his heart on the way. The way means the Dharma. But later, living in a small temple, he was free to entertain himself. So he got ordained in Putuo temple. Doesn't mean that he lived there. So later he must have maybe moved to another small temple. And then he was free to entertain himself. And during this time, he occasionally associated with a group of villains. In time, he became infected with vicious habits, licentious, and began to consume alcohol and meat. Okay, it's important to choose our friends carefully, and who we are mingle with can affect our behaviors. So here, maybe for ordinary people, it does not seem bad. Like consume alcohol and meat is so common for everyday people, right? Particularly just everywhere, all over the world. But here we are talking about an ordained monk. An ordained monk in China is prohibited. Definitely, they cannot consume alcohol. They cannot consume meat. Different from maybe monks in Japan. In China, very strict with the precepts for monks. So maybe he also had other bad habits that were not mentioned here, but this was just like he already broke the bottom line of being a monk, an ordained monk. So he could not do that. But it's important, right? What kind of a condition? So we said causes and conditions in Buddhism. It's important, the condition that we are living in, the kind of environment that we set up for ourselves. It's actually not so good to practice in a small temple unless you have great practice. Why? Because in a small temple, there's actually no one who can maybe supervise you. It's actually important to be with people, especially with like-minded people when we are practicing. That's why I chose to practice in a temple with a lot of like-minded people. Or otherwise, if I'm just staying at home, it's most likely that I will not be diligent in my practice, because we have this habitual tendency to be lazy and to just entertain ourselves freely, etc. So that's what happened to Monk Chang-ling. In his later years, he was deeply ashamed of his previous mistakes. So this showed that he really had good roots, right? For people who did not have deep enough good roots, they may not be ashamed of their mistakes. They may not be repentant, but his good roots somehow maybe ripened in his later years again, and then he was really deeply ashamed of his previous mistakes. And when he heard that a monk, Liao Qing, has set up a Nianfo hole at Putuo Banshan Temple, so another temple in Putuo Mountain. We said many temples in Putuo Mountain, which specialized in the Pure Land Dharma. He was happy to come and ask for guidance in how to Nianfo. Now, usually monks and nuns in China, they definitely know about the Pure Land Dharma. They definitely have heard of Amitabha Buddha. They have heard of Nianfo, because China is a Mahayana Buddhist country, and there is not a temple here that does not recite the name of Amitabha Buddha. So he must have known this, even when he was a monk. And when he became ordained, he must have already heard of the Pure Land Dharma, have heard of the Nianfo practice, but maybe he did not practice. Remember, he was busy hanging out with some not so good people. So he did not care so much. And then later he all of a sudden became repentant and thought, okay, now what can really save me? Maybe only Amituofo can do that. So let me go and practice the Pure Land Dharma. And after listening to monk Liao Qing's teachings, he learned the way of the Pure Land. So he eliminated all his bad habits and dedicated himself to chanting the name of Amitabha Buddha with true faith and sincere vow towards seeking rebirth in the Western Pure Land. Now, this Monk Chang-ling, although he was a loose cannon, maybe for many years, but he really had deep roots. After he learned the way of the Pure Land, he was determined to eliminate all his bad habits and dedicated himself single-heartedly to Nianfo. This is actually not easy to do. It's not easy to get rid of our bad habits, not easy to really dedicate ourselves into our Dharma practice. Now, this is related to the 21st vow we have studied. Let me just pull it out. All this have basis. That's why all these rebirth cases can prove what we are talking about is definitely true. So 21st vow, here, if there are great evil people upon hearing my name can immediately repent and cultivate good, following the teachings of the sutras and observing the precepts, vowing to be born in my land, at the time of death, they will not fall in the three evil path and can instantly be born in my land. The 21st vow, vow of being born after repentance. That's exactly what happens for Monk Chang-ling. In the 20th year of the Republic of China, he was invited by the people of Daishan County in the sea northwest of Putuo to stay at the Chaoguo Temple in Penglai Mountain as a place to rest and practice. Okay, just some location here, someone invited him to go somewhere to practice. However, as he grew old and weak, he became ill with asthma. In the 21st year, he rose early on the 8th day of the 7th lunar month, and foreseeing the time of his rebirth, said to the people, I must quickly invite several monks to recite the Buddha's name and help me to be reborn in the West. Okay, see, the key here is actually foreseeing the time of his rebirth, which means he already knew. He knew the time of his rebirth. And then he said to people, quickly, let's invite some monks to come to assist Nianfo for me. And we talked about before, assisting Nianfo is important, particularly for people who may be a bit shaky in their practice. They're not sure whether they can really be mindful of Amitabha at the time of death. But this may not be the case for Monk Chang-ling, because he foresaw the time of his rebirth. He knew the time of his rebirth, which means that he actually had good practice in order to know the time of his rebirth earlier. But why he still wanted to invite people to come to recite the Buddha's name, to assist him to be born in the Pure Land? It's really a way of convenience, so more people can witness this. And remember, when you know your time of rebirth, really quickly let us know. Right? Maybe we will do a video call or something. We can assist Nianfo, and then we can have people witness your rebirth. It's important to have witnesses, so more people can know this is actually true. Amitabha Buddha is indeed real. The Pure Land is real. When the monks arrived, it said, it happens to be the Zhongyuan festival, or in Buddhist term, Yulanpen festival or Ulambana festival. It's a Buddhist festival. Usually people make offerings to the Buddhas, to the monks, and then transfer the merit to the deceased relatives, families, and hopefully they can gain good merit. So you can Google this festival if you're interested. I think I wrote a post about it before. Usually it's on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month. Or in the conventional society, it's known as the Ghost Festival, the Hungry Ghost Festival. It's said during this time, many ghosts, they will come out. And then, I'm not sure what they said. But in Buddhism, it's called Ulambana Festival, or in Chinese, Yulanpenjie. So we should make offerings first. Okay, so it's the festival. People should make offerings first. Then the 3 days offerings were completed before the people were invited to the bedroom to discuss ways of assisting Nianfo. Chang-ling himself opened the chant and recited with people, and after burning the incense, said, very well. So he actually led this chant, led the assist Nianfo. Usually when you go to assist Nianfo for someone, right, if they are really at the time of dying, they may not be able to lead the chant. It's the different case here for Monk Chang-ling. Apparently he was very spirited. Right? He really did not need assistance. It's just kind of like a show, a performance. He wanted more people to be there to witness his rebirth. So he was like, okay, everybody, let's Nianfo together. On the morning of the 12th day, he himself went to the sandalwood water, bathed and purified himself, put on his clothes and held his equipment. He asked someone to help him to the main hall, and after offering incense to the Buddha, he returned to his bedroom and asked someone to bring the Buddha's niche. Now, for some people who don't know what's the Buddha's niche, you can Google it. Basically, it's a kind of like a, usually made of wood to put your Buddha statues. Okay, then he entered the niche and sat down with a smile on his face, saying, this is a different time from the usual time to recite the Buddha's name. which should be recited in 16 words. So in English, it's not 16 words. In English, only 8 words, but in Chinese, it's 16 words. Namo, wisdom, ultimate bliss, great compassionate Amitabha Buddha. So in Chinese, it's Namo, 西方极乐世界大慈大悲阿弥陀佛. So 16 words in Chinese. As he said this, he chanted and clapped his hands with joy. Everyone said, obey. All right, let's do it. Then they chanted in unison. Chang-ling said, that's good. You can close the niche door for me. Then he joined his palms together and said to the crowd, Amitofo, you have been with me for several months. Thank you for taking care of me. All of you must be diligent in Nianfo so that we can meet again later in the West. Okay, this is like his farewell with people and also encourage people to Nianfo diligently. So for anyone who may be hearing this, at your time of your Nianfo, if you happen to know your rebirth time, really let us know in advance. And then maybe we can all assist Nianfo for you, and then remember to tell us to be diligent in our Nianfo practice, etc. So people can really be inspired and encourage you. And you will have a lot of merit if you can help people to deepen their faith in the Pure Land Dharma. If you can help more people to seek rebirth to the Pure Land, your merit is really infinite. And you will attain also higher grade of rebirth. Okay, so we hope more people in the future can perform this for us. And I trust there will be a lot of people also from the West that will go to the Pure Land. Right, from this time onwards, it's really the time of the Pure Land Dharma. When he had finished, he lowered his palms, put his left hand on his knees, and leaned his right hand against the wall of the niche, and bowed his head and sought rebirth. Without pain, with his body and mind at ease, and his face unchanged. It was the 12th day of the 7th month, and he sought rebirth at the age of 60. Okay, how at ease is that? Have you seen someone who died so at ease? Like usually, if I'm not sure whether you have seen someone who is near death, usually they're not at ease. I have seen. Usually they're really suffering, maybe in their body, all kinds of sufferings, or particularly in their mind, really full of horror, really terrified of the unknown. And they thought, oh, it's finished, or they don't know what's happened after that. So, but for Pure Land practitioners, it's different. Particularly for Pure Land practitioners who practice Nianfo diligently with faith and vow, is an entire different story. Death to us is like, hooray, going home to the Pure Land. It's so good. The best thing that will happen to me, really, if I were to go to the Pure Land, it's the best thing in my life. It's really worth celebrating. So it's different from ordinary death, where the person don't know where he's going, what will happen next, maybe which realm he might end up. Most likely 3 evil realms if you're not going to the Pure Land. So for Pure Land practitioners, death to us is rebirth. Rebirth to a Pure Land is migrating to a much better world, to realize infinite light and life, to realize Buddhahood. It's so wonderful. Another thing I want to say is that if you said this to someone, they may not, believe or understand. Maybe not say that. Don't be so happy when you are gonna die. Don't be too happy, because for people, they don't know, they don't understand. Whereas in a Pure Land temple, how we wish each other's like good blessings is that if you say Happy New Year here, we don't really say stuff like that, but we say, may you seek rebirth earlier. That's what we say, to really give good blessings to people. Yeah. Anyway, so a bit difficult for people to understand if they don't believe in the Dharma or they have not encountered the Dharma. Okay, it's dictated by monk Guan and described in a letter by Yue Jing. And what's so good about this book is that after each rebirth case, there is a little commentary, and very cute and very good commentary. So Monk Chang-ling, who had been a loose cannon for many years, turned his heart around in his later years and was given this auspicious response at his deathbed, which means that he had really good signs of seeking rebirth. He knew his time of rebirth. So Monk Guan also said, so Monk Guan, who's this person? It's the person who dictated this. So Monk Guan witnessed Monk Changling's rebirth. Okay, so Monk Guan said, although the monks of Putuo had been listening to Venerable Yin Guang's praise of the extraordinary and wonderful method of bringing karma and transcend horizontally. Okay, so Master Yin Guang, remember also in the period of Republic China, and Master Yin Guang was living in Putuo Mountain. So he was giving a Dharma there. He was writing all his letters there when he was in Putuo Mountain. So all the monks in Putuo Mountain, of course, they knew about the Pure Land Dharma. They have heard already enough what Master Yin Guang kept saying, kept praising about the Pure Land. But to see is to believe for most people in this world. And here is a terminology, Pure Land terminology, or Buddhist terminology here. Bring karma and transcend horizontally. So in Chinese, 待业恒超. So what this is saying is that one can bring karma, one's karma to the Pure Land. Remember, we're not enlightened yet, so we have not sort of transcend our karma. We still need to bring our karma to the Pure Land, but we can transcend the cycle of samsara. Why it's like horizontally? So a metaphor of that is a little bit like, think of so this is also from some great masters, how they talk is that, think of a little ant that try to get out from a long bamboo. A bamboo is quite tall. There are two ways for the monks to get the ants to get out from the bamboo. One is the ant is in the bottom of the bamboo, being trapped inside the bamboo. One is someone just make a hole next to the ant, and then the ant can just get out of the bamboo horizontally. Another is really to rely on the ant's self-effort to climb all the way up vertically to the top of the bamboo to get out from the bamboo. Okay, does it make sense? So the Pure Land Dharma is like one really transcend the cycle of samsara horizontally. It's really like Amitabha Buddha make a hole for us. We are like this little ants being trapped in the bamboo. The bamboo is a metaphor for the cycle of samsara, and then we transcend horizontally. Okay, so although they have heard of these teachings for decades, they still have mixed feelings about it. And why mixed feelings? Because a lot of people maybe still do not believe, because they have not seen them themselves. Today, when we saw Monk Chang-ling obtain this effect, we were convinced that the wonderful teachings of the Visualization Sutra and Venerable Yin Guang's sincere words were to be relied upon. So here I mentioned the Visualization Sutra because the Visualization Sutra mentioned the 9 grades of rebirth, which we're also going to study later, maybe after we study the Amitabha Sutra. So the Visualization Sutra mentioned the 9 grades of rebirth, and for the lower level of rebirth are those beings who even commit, we said, the 5 gravest offenses, 10 evil deeds, all these are really evil people. If they're willing to repent, Amitabha Buddha will still come to receive them. Even if they want to repent, like at the time of death, if somehow they just happen to encounter the Dharma at the time of death, and even 10 recitations, they can still go to the Pure Land. So after seeing this real rebirth case of Monk Chang-ling, they were finally convinced that this was definitely true. And Master Yin Guang was the incarnation of Bodhisattva Mahasamapprapta, Dashizhi Pusa from the Western Pure Land. So of course, his words were to be relied upon. And for a while, there were many feelings in the mountain. So a lot of people in Mount Putuo, they all generate firm faith in Amitabha Buddha and in the Pure Land Dharma. So to spread the Pure Land Dharma is really a way of unlocking the Buddha's true heart. Shakyamuni Buddha really comes to this world. Eventually, he really wanted to share this Pure Land Dharma, but it's so hard to believe. So that's why he was very convenient in his way in sharing the Dharma. Is to, share life on the easy stuff first, the Four Noble Truths, Noble Eightfold Path, and then later the Mahayana path for people with even better good roots, and then the Pure Land path. All Dharma gates eventually will all return to the Pure Land Dharma, will all go to the Pure Land. This is evident in Avatamsaka Sutra, the Buddhavatamsaka Sutra, full name. So 大方广佛华严经 in Chinese, which really all Dharma gates arise from the Avatamsaka Sutra, and then eventually Bodhisattva Samadabhadra and all these great Bodhisattvas, they all sought rebirth to the Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss, which means all Dharma gates eventually they will all return to the Pure Land. And this is slowly we are seeing this from all Mahayana schools. Whatever schools they are practicing, they also add on the Nianfo practice to seek rebirth to the Pure Land. For more information, you can refer to my first lecture, first session in the 10 Great Vows of Bodhisattva Samadabhadra. We talk about that in great details. Okay, Namo Amituofo, Namo Amitabha Buddha. So maybe let's do a merit transfer, and then we have some time for some sharing and discussions. We vow to be born in the Western Pure Land, have the 9 great lotuses as our parents. When the lotus opens, we will see the Buddha and realizes the Dharma of no birth, with non-regressing bodhisattvas as our companions. So may all beings hear the name of Amitabha Buddha and be born in the Western Pure Land. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Namo Amituofo.